It was just another busy afternoon in downtown Los Angeles, with people rushing to and fro, lost in their own worlds. The streets were buzzing with the usual mix of energy, office workers darting past, street performers putting on a show, and the sound of cars honking in the distance. But for one person, the day was about to change forever. Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur and CEO of Tesla and SpaceX, was visiting the city on a rare trip to focus on his business and the future of AI. As he walked down the bustling streets accompanied by his security team, his mind was racing with thoughts of his latest project and how the world's greatest innovations could reshape humanity. It was a typical busy day for him until something stopped him dead in his tracks. A homeless man, his clothes ragged and his face weathered by the harsh realities of life, approached Elon. He stood in front of him, nervously shifting his weight from one foot to the other. The man's eyes were full of hope and desperation. "Excuse me, sir," the man said, his voice trembling. "Can you spare me $1?" At first, Elon was taken aback, surprised that this man had approached him so directly. He was used to being approached by fans, but this was different. This was someone who was asking for something basic, something that most of us take for granted. The encounter was brief, and Elon hesitated for just a moment, but then something unexpected happened. He reached into his pocket, pulled out his wallet, and handed the man a crisp $100 bill. The homeless man blinked, unsure if he was seeing things correctly. He stammered, "Sir, I just asked for $1, not 100. Elon smiled and simply said, "Sometimes a little more can go a long way." The homeless man's face lit up with disbelief. "Thank you. Thank you so much," he said, tears welling up in his eyes. As Elon walked away, the man looked at the bill, overwhelmed by the kindness of a stranger who could have easily walked past him without a second thought. But this wasn't just about money. It was about something deeper. Elon had just made an impact that the man would never forget. The news of Elon Musk's unexpected act of kindness spread quickly. A bystander, who had witnessed the entire exchange, quickly snapped a photo and posted it online. Within hours, the story went viral. Social media was flooded with posts and comments, praising Elon's generosity and raising questions about the role of empathy and kindness in today's world. Some people couldn't believe it. "Elon Musk gave a homeless man $100? What is going on?" one user tweeted. Others were more reflective. "Maybe we need to remember that even the smallest gestures can have the biggest impact. Elon's kindness just changed someone's life," another comment read. But the ripple effect didn't stop with the viral post. Local news stations picked up the story, and soon Elon Musk was making headlines. Not for his latest breakthrough in technology, but for his simple act of humanity. People from all walks of life began to discuss the importance of looking out for each other and not forgetting the ones who often go unseen. Elon didn't say much about the encounter at first. He was busy with his work, as usual. But as the story continued to gain attention, he felt compelled to share his thoughts on Twitter. "I don't think kindness should be a rare thing. We all can make a difference. One small step at a time," Elon tweeted, his words resonating with millions. His message became a beacon of hope for those who felt forgotten in the society, and it prompted many to look at their own lives through a different lens. Weeks passed, and while the media frenzy had died down, the story continued to linger in the hearts and minds of many. Then one day, something unexpected happened again. Elon found himself back in Los Angeles for another business meeting. As he stepped out of his car and walked down the street, he heard a voice call out to him. "Hey, Elon, you probably don't remember me, but you helped me out a few weeks ago. You gave me that $100. Elon turned to find the same homeless man standing there, dressed in slightly cleaner clothes with a bright smile on his face. He seemed different somehow, more hopeful. "I've been getting back on my feet," the man continued. "I got a job at a local restaurant, and things are slowly looking up. That $100, it really made a difference. It helped me stay in a shelter for a few nights, and from there, I could find work. I just wanted to say thank you." Elon smiled, feeling a wave of satisfaction. "I'm glad to hear that," he said, reaching out for a handshake. "It's amazing what a little help can do." But there was more to this story than just the homeless man's progress. He looked Elon in the eye and said, "You know, it wasn't just the money. It was your kindness that made me believe things could change. I had lost hope before that, but you showed me there's still good in the world." Elon's expression softened. "We all need someone to believe in us," he replied. "I'm glad I could be that person for you." The man smiled, and as they parted ways, Elon couldn't help but reflect on the impact of that one simple moment. A dollar that turned into much more than he had ever imagined. Months after the encounter, Elon was invited to a prominent podcast to discuss his latest ventures in space exploration and sustainable energy. The interview started like any other, with questions about his companies and vision for the future. But then the host brought up something unexpected, the viral story of his kindness. "Now, Elon, I've got to ask you about something a little different. A while back, a homeless man asked you for $1, and you gave him $100. That moment went viral. How do you feel about all the attention that came from that?" Elon paused for a moment before answering. It wasn't about the attention. It was about the difference it made in someone's life. We're all so focused on the bigger picture, on the big problems. But sometimes it's the small, everyday moments of kindness that matter the most. The host was impressed by his answer. "So do you think acts of kindness like this can change the world?" Elon nodded. "I think they already are. Kindness is a ripple effect. One good deed leads to another, and before you know it, it spreads. It's just about taking that first step." Elon's words resonated deeply with the listeners, sparking a wave of reflection. Many people began to think about their own actions and how they could make a difference, no matter how small. Months after the initial encounter, Elon's simple act of kindness had snowballed into something much larger than anyone could have imagined. Social media was abuzz with stories of people paying it forward, inspired by Elon's gesture. From neighborhood communities to international organizations, the ripple effect of compassion was undeniable. The hashtag #sign Elon's Ripple was trending worldwide, and people shared heartwarming stories of generosity, often quoting Elon's words, "Kindness is a ripple effect." In small towns and big cities, acts of kindness began to surface. A barista in New York paid for the coffee of the person behind them in line, sparking a chain reaction that lasted the entire day. A family in Chicago donated groceries to their local food pantry, inspired by the idea that small gestures could make a big difference. In schools, children began participating in kindness challenges, writing letters to strangers or planting community gardens. Even large corporations took notice. Several companies announced initiatives to combat homelessness, pledging millions of dollars to build affordable housing or provide job training programs. "If Elon Musk can take a moment out of his day to help a stranger, then we can do our part too," said the CEO of a major tech company during a press conference. The movement wasn't just about grand gestures, though. It was about the simple, everyday acts of kindness that often go unnoticed. A woman in Mumbai shared her story on Instagram about helping an elderly neighbor with her groceries. A teenager in Sydney gave his bus seat to an exhausted nurse on her way home. Each story seemed small on its own, but together they painted a picture of a world that was starting to believe in the power of compassion again. Elon, though deeply busy with SpaceX launches and Tesla's latest innovations, couldn't help but notice the global impact. He saw the stories, read the hashtags, and felt a quiet sense of pride, not for himself, but for the world. During a press conference, a reporter asked him about the viral movement. "How does it feel knowing that your one act of kindness has inspired so many?" Elon hesitated for a moment before replying, "I think we underestimate how much good we can do. It wasn't about inspiring anyone. It was just the right thing to do. But if this has shown people that even the smallest actions matter, then that's something I'm proud to be part of." The homeless man who had sparked it all remained a central figure in the movement. People from all over reached out to him, wanting to know his story, wanting to help. He became an advocate for homelessness awareness, using his own experience to show how one chance, one act of kindness could change a life. A year had passed since the day Elon Musk handed a homeless man $100, but the memory of that moment had never faded. For the man who had once been lost in despair, his life was now unrecognizable. He had gone from living on the streets to working full-time at a local restaurant. He had saved enough to rent a small apartment and was even volunteering at a shelter where he once stayed. But it wasn't just his life that had changed. His perspective had too. Inspired by the generosity of a stranger, he decided it was his turn to give back. On a crisp fall morning, He stood in front of the restaurant where he worked, a table set up with a sign that read, "Free meals for anyone in need." As people walked by, some hesitated, unsure if the offer was real, but he greeted each person with a warm smile and a plate of food. "It's not much," he said to an elderly woman who accepted a sandwich, "but sometimes a little can go a long way. Someone once did the same for me." The act drew attention from locals and media alike. A reporter covering the story asked him what inspired this gesture. He smiled and said, "A year ago, someone believed in me when I didn't believe in myself. That one act of kindness set off a chain reaction in my life. Now it's my turn to keep it going." Word of his efforts eventually reached Elon Musk, who was moved to hear how far the ripple effect had gone. Elon decided to visit the man, not as a billionaire or a public figure, but as someone who cared. When they met again, the man was shocked and humbled to see Elon standing before him. "You've done so much more with that $100 than I ever could have imagined," Elon said. "The world needs more people like you." The man shook his head, tears in his eyes. "No, the world needs more people like you. People willing to give someone a chance." Their conversation was brief, but the message was clear. The cycle of kindness had come full circle. As Elon left, he couldn't help but think about how one small decision, a moment of empathy, had created waves that reached far beyond what anyone could have expected. And as the man handed another meal to a person in need, he knew he was part of something bigger than himself, a movement that reminded the world of the power of humanity.